At some point in the future, we might have kid monks. Then they can serve the tea. In the monastery, you have to kids serve the tea. I did that too. I came all the way from down there.
You can have my kids.
He said you can have her kids. He said you can have my kids.
Okay. Well, I have to train them. Yeah. Actually, here in the United States, you might consider it like children, brainwashing, this, that, so on. But actually, Dharma brainwashing would be the best, when you're little, when you train them spiritually, and even if later on, teenage year, they rebel. Later on, even if they rebel, they always have that knowledge there. And then there comes in a time in life when you go through ups and downs and difficulty. Then they come to realize, the Dharma was the real thing. That's what I need to practice. And they come back. All our kids, when they grow up, many of them don't make it. They, kind of a little bit like they disrobe, walk away. And then later, if they get to live long life, later they become good practitioners in their senior years. Because they went through all this life struggle, difficulty, and then they realized that there's nothing in samsara. First in the monastery, discipline, training, they thought it was too much for them. And they didn't get to enjoy the life. They didn't have all these enjoyment that other kids have and other people have. I'm leaving, and then many of them sometime leave, And then they realize after a while, there's nothing there. And then they're coming back to Dharma again. It's like that most of the time. Yeah. Then when they have hard, difficult survival life, not very difficult, just to survive, right? Then they long so much for pure Dharma, but it's difficult again, I remember one senior monk who disrobed and then later came and he was crying and crying and crying, so much regret that he had such a hard life. He could have a little better life, Yeah, like that, Sometimes you have to go through these things to understand. Teaching better too, a lot of the time, if you don't have very good karma, if you're not very intelligent, you don't even understand, very well. Teaching says this, teaching says, and only when you go through hardship, and then you find out, that's what Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are talking about, type of thing, Yeah. While we were reading that, a 35 Buddha confession prayer, I was kind of like, wow, that confession prayer, I only encourage you to read in translations, okay? Not just once, read many times and trying to contemplate on the meaning. It's so beautifully perfect confession. And if you sincerely do that, you can overcome all the nonsense. All these... Whoever recite this resolve practice success will quickly overcome all evil committed and delusion. You see, if you do properly, sincerely, confession, prayer like 35, you can overcome all the thing committed through your delusion. Even if, evil of 5 acts that which ripens immediately. So you see, you can overcome so beautifully. And by the way, how can it not be beautiful? It's Lord Buddha. Buddha taught us. Our precious Buddha. There's a little story behind 35 Buddha Confession Prayer. And it was taught on behalf of one of his disciple who later became one of the 16 arhats. You see over there, there's these tankas over there. There's 16 arhats up there. Okay? Over there too. 16 arhats are Buddha's 16 disciples who actually were very great Bodhisattvas. They spread Dharma all over the world. I think one of them even went to China, things like that. And one of them was actually, if I remember correctly, was a Brahmin Indian, But he had some obstacle, and he's a learning disability, But he, to be Buddha's disciple, you have to have some good karma, right? But he had some special heart, but some problem. And then in Brahmin tradition, they have to memorize certain prayers. And so he just cannot memorize anything. And the story was he couldn't even memorize 2 word. Now I'm forgetting what those 2 words are. Something very important in Brahmin tradition to remember. Something like God and devil or something like that, So he memorized the first word, and he could only memorize one at a time. And he memorized one word, one vocabulary. And then when he memorized the second one, he forgot the first one. And then when he remembered the second one, then he tried to learn the other one, and he forgot the other one that he memorized. And he had that much problem. You see, he couldn't remember. Like that, so much problem. And then somehow he came to Buddha and met, and he was like that. And Buddha said it's obscuration and defilement problem. His mind, some obscuration, but it needs to be purified. Some obscuration that he is having to purify. And then on his behalf, Buddha taught 35 Buddha Confession Prayer. See, 35 Buddha Confession Prayer. Then Buddha says you taught him, visualize this and then say all these prayer, and you can overcome all your obscurations, veils and obscurations, defilements can be removed. He did, Buddha taught that, and then he was able to overcome whatever veils and obscurations, clouding his mind, clear. Not only that, he became an enlightened being, and he became one of the Buddha's 16 most important disciples. Like that, it's just amazing. Actually, if you read those prayers line and expressions correctly, it's just perfectly, beautifully expressed. If you sincerely do, how can you not overcome any problem? It's total pure expression, completely correct, perfectly correct understanding of how things messed up and how you wish to truly overcome. And when you do the right thing, then the problem is solved. Cause condition, you see? Yeah. Like that, you see? Everything got messed up based on all the wrong cause condition, and you can fix it with the right cause condition. And then thanks to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they taught us so clearly what are the right cause condition for all the right experience, And then ultimately, you become what Mahamudra prayer says. You discover your own Buddha nature. You see? There's nothing else. It's self-discovery. Yeah. Discovery of egolessness. Self and phenomena. Okay? That's what Buddhists call it. Two types of ego. You have to use the word ego because it's grasping. That's why you call it ego. Grasping to self-grasping to phenomena as something other than yourself, that it truly exists, it truly is tangible, solid, reality. Yeah. Dream-like, illusory, like magical, like understanding will get close to understanding what the reality is, you know. Yeah.
Are we to understand that even our aversions are self in a way? Is that correct understanding? Like the things like that, I don't know, we'll call it like ugly behaviors that we might realize that we have. Are we to understand that is ourself or that's not ourself? Or both?
Actually, it's neither.
Okay.
Absolutely. From the point of view of perfection, wisdom, teaching, it's neither. You see? Absolute reality is something else. It's ineffable. That's the thing, yeah. But you have to, you're stuck here. We're in dream world, vicious samsaric dream world. So we're stuck here. Within this, there's some kind of governing law, and that's the law of karma. So you figure out what works, what doesn't work. Moral, ethical discipline coming in, you see? Right, so on and so on. And then still, thanks to perfect Buddha activity, you see, still teaching and made available. So we it helps us overcome this illusion. Ultimately, by understanding our own mind, Yeah. In Buddhism, grasping onto self is the root of all the evil. Yeah. This grasping is responsible for all your pain and suffering. This is the one that drags you all the way down to the bottom of samsara, like hell and so on. So you see, sooner you understand that, you have to somehow find a way to let it go, the better it is. Spiritual quality, like love and compassion, you see? For some, it might not be that difficult. For others, even if it is difficult, this is one thing you have to try and increase. There is no other way around. You have to, You see? We're talking about pure phenomena, If you can't generate pure love and compassion for all, you're not going to become free. You see? This is essential in your own freedom and liberation, You see? And then these positive qualities will give you strength to eventually overcome your own self-grasping that is so solidly, so strongly. I would say holding on even at the speed of light is finally you'll be able to let it go. It's that difficult, actually. You see? So you have to cherish these principles no matter work. And then, I'll reiterate. Where there's a sincere will, there truly is a way. Okay? Yeah. You all believe me?
Yeah.
John, finally. We put some restriction on John's. Okay. Dharma practice so precious, huh?
She wants to know what the
sentence in the Mahamudra prayer, the last sentence, one of the last sentences I said, this excellent and worthy role reservation derived from the Sutra adorned by Samantabhadra. She wants to know what adorned by Samantabhadra means.
Adorned by resolve practices. This actually was originally Samantabhadra Bodhisattva expression. That's what it means, adorn, Samantabhadra. Yeah. Adorn. English speaking people have no problem with this word, right? Yeah. It's your French problem. Tell her that. We English people, no problem. Tell her it's Samantha. Okay, now here's the thing. Our Buddha taught, our precious Buddha, our precious Buddha taught this. But he taught this from his recollection of eons and eons and eons ago. Samantabhadra Bodhisattva expressed this, and he's like, this is how Samantabhadra Bodhisattva expressed. Then he perfectly taught that. Yeah. This is a great Bodhisattva. As far as like aspiration is concerned, Samantabhadra Bodhisattva has the most perfect aspiration. So that's why we're all trying to emulate this great Bodhisattva. You know? Yeah, Bodhisattvas all play a different role. Like when it comes to love and compassion, we want to be like Chenrezig. Chenrezig embodies that. See? When it comes to like wisdom, then Manjushri Bodhisattva embodies, then we want to be like Manjushri, like Bodhisattvas. These played this incredible enlightened role like that for us. You could almost say like role model for all. Yeah, in fact it is. They vow to be role model for everybody, you know? Yeah. Interesting, huh? You know, I'm so fascinated with these Bodhisattva vows, how they finally materialize, you know. Chenrezig's vow, Chenrezig, you know. One of the vows was that Chenrezig wanted to be the most famous Bodhisattva. Can you believe? So interesting. But it's pure aspiration, you know, not like, oh, I want to be like Donald Trump, so famous. No. This is what I mean, you see? There can be anything. It can be pure and impure side, you know. You can have one an ego trip, the other one is really pure enlightened aspiration. So interesting, huh? I'm like, I want to be the most famous Nyungne Guru. Somebody asking a question? Who was that? Okay. You want to ask? Okay, your hand.
Just the aspiration you're talking about, do we have to take it when we're an ordinary being, or as we reach first Buddha, this Bodhisattva aspiration? When does it need to be made? Can you do it when we're enlightened, not enlightened, or do we have to wait until first Buddha?
Bodhisattva aspiration. Do you have to wait until you reach first Buddha?
Oh no, you can make aspiration from the day one that you generate bodhisattva. You took bodhisattva vow, of course.
Yes, but like you said, Chenrezig wanted to be the most famous, or Tara wanted to have all, or
yeah, Tara is. Yeah, Tara. Could have been in, I would say, when Tara first made that vow, Tara could have been, what do you call it, Bodhisattva practitioner on path of preparation. I think so. You know, she still had that little reaction to somebody's, you know, attacking her female body, and then like, but then it became, but she has a Bodhisattva principle. Then it became pure, you see. Yeah. Yeah. Completely, first Bhumi Bodhisattva is completely enlightened Bodhisattva. So will not have that grasping anymore. Even people attack you, there wouldn't be that that grasping anymore at that time. Yeah. Okay, dear.
I would like to ask, in the Mahamudra prayer, it's a line, what needs to be purified are incidental
Stain and confusion.
What means incidental states and confusion?
Yeah. This is an important word that Dharma practitioners should familiarize, okay? This precise word, actually, Kamapa is actually kind of quoting from a Tantra. This word actually comes from Tantra. If I remember correctly, this comes from Hevajra Tantra. This is a word from Hevajra. The Hevajra Tantra literally has that word, that incidental stain word. Actual Tantra code is all beings naturally are possess Buddha nature. That's the first line, the Tantra word, okay? But the sentient beings are obscured by incidental stains. That's the word that comes from that, you know? If you remove the incidental stain, then everybody is Buddha. The Tantra word like that. So this incidental stain, the word incidental stain is translated, the Tibetan word. Actually, Tibetan word is called lobur. That's the word, lobur chima. Stain is veil, obscuration, you know, stain on a pure glass stain, and it's fog you can't see through, right? It's that kind of idea. But the nature, perfect, beautiful, luminous mind, but it's obscure, you know, right? That's stain. And incidental is the word incident, I suppose in English would have the same definition as Tibetan word lobur, you know. Lobur actually kind of mean like almost like a sudden veil, sudden obscuration. Almost a meaning like that, you know. Buddha nature, but it's suddenly obscured. Buddha nature, but incidentally obscure. You can almost use both terminologies, sudden obscuration or incidental obscuration, incidental stain, you know. Now, it sounded like, okay, then, you know, from the point of view of, let's say from the point of view of timeline, first, Buddha nature of everybody's very pure mind, but then incidental stain came afterwards. You see, now this is a very important point in understanding. You know, it would sound like that. Sudden obscuration or incidental stain will sound like that, but it's not from the point of view, you know, how obscuration started. But it's from the point of view of incidental, sudden obscuration, because obscuration can be removed. This is how Buddhist teaching explain. You know, that's why you call it incident. You know, if it's part of your mind, then you cannot, it's not incidental stain, it's a permanent stain. You see, it's incidental stain because it can be removed. Understand? Yeah. And yeah, a lot of the time I remember hearing people, translators translating like sudden obscuration rather than incidental stain, you know, sudden obscuration. But the nature suddenly obscured. Yeah, same. Okay? So, yeah, it can be removed. Therefore, you can call it an incidental stain. That's actually the correct explanation. Yeah. But how obscuration happened, that's a very complicated thing. You know, difficult to understand. Unless you understand your mind, how it happened, you know, how it could happen, how confusion could happen, you know. Again, to tantric doctrine, you know, there's a teaching like co-emergent wisdom and co-emergent ignorance is kind of simultaneous, you know, and the incidental stain is co-emergent ignorant. Understand? kind of. Okay, it's actually a very profound subject. It's not easy to understand, but just keep your mind open to it, and and there's a possibility you will slowly understand. Yeah. Buddhist teaching on how your mind is, from like Mahamudra teachings, Dzogchen teachings, and always talk about how your nature, your mind is, qualities of the mind, and how your, true nature mind is. So you have to understand those things. Then it becomes clear. Yeah, like that.
Is this covered in, if I remember correctly, Myriad Worlds? In Myriad Worlds by Jamgon Kuntrul, is some of this is kind of covered, right?
Myriad World is Buddhist universe. Explanation of how the universe, Buddhist world explanation. The clearest explanation would be in Mahamudra and Dzogchen teachings, how the mind is. Yeah, Tantra, of course. Okay, there's a lot of question here. Okay.
So these stains have to be removed. What about these lower level beings like crocodiles and snakes and hyenas? They have a lot of aggression, so there's a lot of stain there. How does a being at that level rise at all? Can it only happen through the blessings of the Buddha, or how does that happen when you're that low?
Well, Buddha will say it never happened. See? Yeah, that's the real thing, actually. Yeah, crocodile is not real. Crocodile experience is temporary. Confused pain, suffering of samsara. That's not real. But your question relates to how they can make it, and they have a long way to go. One day I was walking out here in Temple Nyungne time. My niece, my sweet niece was with me. We were walking together. Over there was an ant, and I was saying prayer to ant. And then she said, Uncle Rinpoche, those ants have a long way to go, huh? She said. So crocodile has a long way to go, that's all. So if crocodile will be lucky, if some Buddha walked by, Bodhisattvas walked by, a sincere spiritual teacher walked by, and then, if it was touch or manipime or something, then it has a chance to have, this is the thing, you have to have human birth. Not easy, This is what human birth is so rare. Leisure and endowment is all about. See how hard it is that the blind turtle and the wooden ring story applies to this question. How do they look so hard, so difficult? This is what the difficulty is. But then, again to make a point, ultimately, crocodile never happened.
That part, that it never happened, is hard to comprehend. If you say, well, look, you're seeing it this way, and that's an illusion, then in that moment I can understand, okay, my mind is projecting it. But that it never happened, that the Buddha taught. We have all the writings. And it's hard to comprehend something.
No, it's not difficult to comprehend. You know why? You see, dream is a good example. Your dream, whatever happened in dream, it really happened? Can you say it's real? It real happened? You see? It's not, never happened. How can it be happening? You see? Buddha cannot say, oh, dream, oh, that really happened. How can it happen? That's not the truth. Truth is, it never happened. That's the truth. Your nightmare never happened. You can say nightmare, that was a real, see? You, because it looks so rigid, so tangible, tempted to say it really is, you see? It really is like that.
In Diamond Sutra, Buddha was telling Subhuti, was teaching Subhuti, and Subhuti was kind of clinging to the emptiness experience. And through teaching him over and over, continuously over and over, it seemed to. What was the main point that Buddha was trying to make still? It's still a little.
Go beyond.
Let's go beyond even.
Perfection of wisdom is what Buddha is trying to teach. There's layers and layers and layers of hang-ups. And Buddha is trying to teach people one by one, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. When everything is completely gone, whatever remains, that's who you really are. Buddha nature, Buddha mind, you're Buddha. Understand? Okay, I think we have to start now.